Hey everybody, welcome to the Creepo Deepo. This is episode 3. My name's Anthony. Today we'll be talking about Shin Godzilla and kaiju movies in general and other stuff like that. As our intro, why don't I introduce my guest and with a question. Tell me, how did you guys get started in kaiju movies? We'll start with this one guy.
All right, my name is Mark. You might know me from a podcast that I did before. Well, now I'm here as a guest.
Yeah, how do you like it?
Well,
how do you like your seat?
Good. This was the seat I sat in last time.
You was at in that seat?
Yeah.
It's almost like we go to the same place. It's almost like I told you to go here.
Well, anyways, now the question you asked me was how I got into kaiju movies. Well,
yes.
How I got into it was that, well, not counting the Roland Emmerich Godzilla, my first kaiju movie was in fact a Godzilla movie, and not just any Godzilla movie. It was King Kong versus Godzilla.
Ooh.
Yeah, because like I saw it I think at a Toys R Us, and like I said to myself, wow, these two actually fought. I gotta get this movie. And so yeah.
When you said you saw it, I imagined like you actually like it was on screen and you were like playing it. I was like, that must be a pretty cool Toys R Us. They're just playing that movie.
I wish. And so like I said, like I became a fan like through the Emmerich movie, but as I liked Godzilla more, I saw movies at Blockbuster of like most of the Showa era, and like I rented them and I enjoyed them, and every time there was a Godzilla movie like on TV, like they would marathon it on Sci-Fi.
Oh, I remember that.
Like especially ones I haven't seen, I would watch them. And my aunt, she gave me like a book, like an official Godzilla compendium, which was like from the Showa era all the way to the Heisei era. Like it had movie posters, it talked about the movies, it talked about the productions, the designs, and what Godzilla meant as a character. And it also had like bios and size charts of the kaijus.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I still had that book. I don't know where it is.
All right. And our next guest.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel, and let's see. The question was,
How did
I get into kaiju movies?
Yeah.
Well, I was a little special kid. Way back when.
So like like superpowers or whatever. Sorry.
It's open to interpretation. Anyway, now
He has superpowers, guys.
yes, I can sprout sarcasm at will. Anyway, now back to the question. I was a very special kid who was really, really in love with dinosaurs. I couldn't get enough of it as a little kid.
Oh yeah, same here.
And it practically ruined almost every friendship I had in elementary.
Oh wow.
Wow, really?
Kids don't understand that Ankylosaur is the best dinosaur.
I will fight you.
It's a T-Rex. It's the king. Come on.
See, he gets it. Anyway.
Yeah, because like as a kid, I also enjoyed Jurassic Park.
When
and,
I was a kid,
Land Before Time.
When I was a kid, I had the foolish notion that the Triceratops was the best.
Well, he's pretty cool though.
Yeah, he was pretty cool, but to the credit, I also was growing up on Power Rangers.
Oh.
So my favorite color is blue, and so the Triceratops was blue, so I automatically thought, this is the coolest dinosaur ever, nothing could top it. And then as I grew older, I grew wiser and realized, no, the coolest dinosaur ever is the Tyrannosaurus.
Oh yeah.
No, but anyway, the way I got into Godzilla was actually in a similar fashion to Mark's, but instead it was my parents found this movie in Toys R Us that was nothing but trailers from the way oldies, full of it's just a whole compilation of trailers of all these old B movies that involve dinosaurs or semi-dinosaurs, like giant
That's weird.
bugs or monsters or whatever.
It's like you're paying for advertisements.
You know what? I think I know what you're talking about.
The video cassette was called Fantastic Dinosaurs of the Movies.
Oh, okay. I guess that's not the movie I was thinking about. The one that I had, it talked about like Godzilla, but also monster movies in general, like old sci-fi movies. Like it talked about like the very first sci-fi movie introduced. It talked about like it talked about King Kong. It talked about Mighty Joe Young. It talked about Reptilicus, the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, Gorgo.
Gorgo's on the show next week.
Oh, really?
No. That'd be kind of cool, though. I don't even know what
okay.
Gorgo sounds like, but I just imagine some type of, like, blob-ish man who's just...
No, Gorgo was like the British Godzilla. I'm serious.
He is not joking. You're laughing, Anthony, but we are not joking. Gorgo was one of the trailers in that movie I got.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. When I hear British Godzilla, you immediately know what I would probably think.
I'm
Anyway.
imagining him with a top hat and a monocle and a cup of
it's
tea.
a cup of tea. So I'm like, oh, excuse me, as I mosey on down. Oh, let me go into the boat now. I'm done for the day.
Anyway,
Okay,
I'm
let him talk.
Anyway, I'm watching through all these trailers of all these crappy B movies, and then it came across this one black and white one, and I swear to God, if you had a penny for every time the advertiser promoting the movie say Godzilla, King of the Monsters, he would probably be a billionaire by now.
Oh, wow.
And this was a trailer that was promoting the American theatrical release back in 1956. And I just looked at it and I'm like, this is too dark. I can't see the monster. And then the other trailer came up, Godzilla versus the Thing, aka Godzilla versus Mothra.
Yeah.
And that one was actually in full color, and all I saw was Godzilla coming out from the ground, and I just stared at it in childlike awe, and then his roar was embedded in my head. You cannot forget an iconic roar like that.
That's actually...
And that's what... Oh, shit, I'm not tearing up at the memory of this.
That's how much Godzilla means to these people.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I was just like, when I just remember as a kid, I forgot.
And then
sorry.
and it was then that I realized that I have to see either this movie or the other movie. And then the trailers kept going on, and I'm like, there's more. And then one of the other trailers was for Rodan, and then later on they showed Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, and then I saw Godzilla and Mothra and Rodan in the same movie, and I'm like, oh my god!
It must be really interesting, just like being that age, because like all these movies, they've happened, and like they're all in the past, and yet like when we discovered them for the first time, it's like a treasure trove of just movie after movie. There's like so many, and especially since a lot of these movies are really good.
Once you get past the campiness, though.
Yeah. But so
Heck, we were watching some of the. We were watching one of the Heisei movies, and I hadn't watched those movies in like years. So going back to it, and I thought, I had the mentality of these movies were like the best run of the Godzilla movies ever. And then going back to it, I'm like, I can see the campiness.
yeah.
It must have been the dubbing.
That was one of the ones that we watched yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It must have been the dubbing.
Yeah.
It must have been the
Well,
dubbing.
not only that,
made
but
it even more
age,
campy.
you see this for the first time, it's like crazy. To pull the curtain back, we tried to record this yesterday, and certain things happened, and we couldn't record, and it was sucky.
Yeah.
So we just went to Mark's house, and we just watched, which one was it?
It was Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. The reason why it's called 2 is because it's the second movie for the second film series, the Heisei era.
The way I got into kaiju,
I thought that was Biollante.
Well, because you know how they already did a Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla in the Showa era?
Yeah, and they did a sequel, Terror of Mechagodzilla, because that movie was really, really successful.
Yeah, but not to confuse this one for a sequel, they call it 2 because it's not a sequel to the Showa era. It's just called 2 because it's the second Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla movie in the second era.
Okay. Well, you can probably just go over the era
I
a little later.
can understand that, but it's still gonna confuse the hell out of the public.
Oh, yeah. I would imagine. I mean, looking at this stuff, like, it'd be pretty intimidating.
Not unless if you're a fan and listening to this, then they'll get it.
Yeah. Okay, so the way I got into Godzilla, I forget if it's either one of two things. I just remember my dad was super into kaiju, and he was telling me about it, and he was talking about how Rodan's like pretty much the coolest guy ever, which he always brings up, like whenever I just go and say, even like when we were gonna go and see Shin Godzilla this week.
I had seen Rodan as well, the original, and I cannot fault your father for thinking that because the one thing I remember most about the Rodan movie was the ending. You know the ending, right, Anthony?
No, I don't.
I've seen it. I know the ending.
Okay, so
spoilers for Rodan.
Okay, so the ending to Rodan. Should we spoil it?
Yeah, just spoil it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I already said spoilers. Everyone knows.
All right. So the ending to Rodan, basically the movie was building up to the appearance of Rodan. You know, the traditional unidentified flying object in the sky, these strange prehistoric creatures coming out of the mines that would later be Rodan's food. And by the time Rodan showed up and flew out of the earth, another one came out and flew out of the earth. So there were 2 Rodans in this movie. And at the ending, they managed to find where it is that they were nesting and just blew the hell out of the mountain.
Oh, wow.
We see the volcanic eruptions coming out of the earth. We see the Rodans trying to fly away, and one of them cannot fly up because there was so much fumes and poisonous gas that it ends up slowly falling down into the fire. And you could hear the screams that were coming out from its mate. The other one refused to fly away and like tried to wait and see if the mate would come back. When it was clear that the mate was going to die, instead
he dove in after?
No.
Oh.
He did dive in, but not to save her. He dove in to die with her.
Oh, that's really touching. Okay, so like I was saying, like even like when I was gonna go and see Shin Godzilla this past week, like I was visiting my dad, and my dad was like, "Oh man, like do you think Rodan's gonna be in it? Like Rodan's so cool. I like Rodan." And I was like, "Yes, Dad, I know that you like Rodan." But I definitely like picked up like the knack for like these movies from him. I forget if I also started watching the Emmerich movie, which I actually was really cool because I remember seeing that movie at a drive-in, which is really weird because I actually saw the 2014 movie also at a drive-in once.
Oh, wow.
You know, I just think that you should just watch Godzilla at a drive-in. If you have the chance, if you somehow can find a drive-in, just find it and watch a Godzilla movie. It's going to be the hardest thing to do, but it's super worth it because I've done it twice now and I can vouch for it. Even though I don't like 2014 that much or the Emmerich movie that much. I liked it as a kid, but either I watched the Emmerich movie first or I don't remember which one it was. I just remember that like...
Well, you have 2 Godzilla experts,
yeah,
so
that's
I'm pretty sure we will narrow it down.
Yeah. All I remember is that Mothra was in it, King Ghidorah was in it, and Mecha King Ghidorah was in it.
But what?
Wait, Mothra was not in.
Okay.
Wait.
No, I don't think Mothra was in it. I know definitely King Ghidorah and Mecha King Ghidorah was in it, and like.
Okay, so that would be Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, Heisei era.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember like digging that movie as a kid, like just being like, "This is the coolest thing." It has like 3 heads and these robots, like, and shoots lightning all over the place. It was super cool.
I have a problem. A part of me has a problem with the time travel element.
To be fair, like I was like 8 at the time,
Yeah,
so
that movie was a clusterfuck.
so like when you're 8 o'clock,
It's still enjoyable. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
when you
You're
get
8
to be
o'clock.
when you get to be kids, when you get to be older, you start to you start to see some of the flaws in the things you love.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them. No, everything that you love, you will love forever, and it will never change. It will always be great.
No.
Always love.
Let me finish. Let me finish. And even if you see those flaws, chances are you are either still going to love it, despite all the flaws, or you're gonna see the flaws and you're like, this is ruined for me.
But what was I saying? Yeah, basically, I was a little kid. I didn't understand, so I bet like it wasn't that great. I don't know. I'll probably watch it again one day. Anyways, so speaking of like watching the previous Godzilla, what did you guys think about the 2014 Godzilla? Just as a brief, like, if you could give like your brief thoughts about it, like Nathan, why don't you go first?
I honestly really, really love Godzilla's design in that movie. Mm-hmm. Although I do share some of the same gripes as everyone else who saw it. We all came to see Godzilla, and most of the time, all we got were like teases, like hints of there was a battle here. We're not going to show you, but there was a battle. You can see the aftermath.
Believe you me, guys, there was. It was pretty sweet. There was lasers, and there was a disco show, and the Mutos were all like.
Anyway. What about you, Mark?
But you do like his design. But what about the movie?
I do love the design. At the beginning of the movie, I was actually really getting into it. I was really getting involved with the characters and whatnot. Mm-hmm. I could sympathize with the character. Was his name Brody or?
I think it was Brody.
Is that the bomb guy who's always like, I'm a bomb expert? Guys,
no, I think that was
Bryan
Cranston's kid.
Oh yeah, that was Bryan Cranston's kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I could sympathize with his character because of all the shit he had to put up with growing up. Mm-hmm. I really sympathized with Bryan Cranston's character a lot. He brought his A game.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Should have won an Oscar for that.
I swear.
For 15 minutes of a movie, Bryan Cranston.
Wait, he won an Oscar?
No, he should have.
Definitely. If any of you see the movie, you'll know what we're talking about. And I think what made the movie fall apart for me was when Bryan Cranston was sadly written out of the movie. Yeah. And then Godzilla came, and I'm like, okay, this makes up for everything. You see the buildup. You see the tidal wave of him coming into shore. You see him. You see his foot stomp into the airport. You see the Muto spreading its wings, challenging him. And then the camera pans up and you see his face for the first time in 10 years. And then he roars and you're like, yeah! And then it cuts to the freaking kid lying on the couch, opening his eye, and you're like, what? Yeah. And then it teases you even more with the news footage of Godzilla fighting the Muto at the airport. And I'm sorry, I'm not really one for profanity as much, but internally that was the moment where I was internally screaming, I can't say it. I can't say it.
It's a family-friendly podcast. You can't be saying fuck all the time. What the hell do you think it is? All right, Mark, briefly.
Okay, you said it. All right, that saves space for me.
Don't worry. Your family will be fine with this. Anyways, so Mark, briefly, give me your thoughts on 2014.
Well, I would say that it was better than the Emmerich movie as far as getting Godzilla's character right and his origins. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the trailers, they pretty much like tricked us because like the trailers made it look like Godzilla was gonna be the main threat. Yeah. I really thought that in this movie the Mutos were gonna be like gonna like have like only like a short appearance. Like Godzilla would have made like quick work of them, and then he would have become the main threat.
That would have been actually pretty sweet.
Yeah, because like
and instead I saw this movie, and when I broke down the plot, I'm like, wait a minute. This is basically the same plot elements of Gamera, Guardian of the Universe.
Yeah, they did make Godzilla into a guardian like if he was Gamera.
Yeah, I didn't really like that, to be honest.
Well, I mean, the concept of making Godzilla...
I mean, right down to the Mutos trying to procreate. Well, to be honest, the Gaios reproduce asexually, but I digress.
Well, anyways, like, the concept of Godzilla as a guardian, like, him, like, being a hero, actually does work, because it's, like, a better concept than, like, what the Showa era did. Like, oh, like, he's just good just because he's good.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Well, actually, in the Showa era, he started off bad, and then... and then in Ghidra, the three-headed monster.
Oh yeah,
that's
right.
That's when it was revealed, thanks to our two little Shobijin. Mm-hmm. That's what the Japanese call them. In America, we call them the twin fairies. Mm-hmm. They were able to translate what it was the monsters were communicating with each other, and Godzilla and Rodan were not having any part of trying to save humanity because they were shooting at us. They were causing us pain, and we were just trying to live out our days.
That's right. Godzilla even said, well, he didn't really say, the fairies translated, like, the reason why Godzilla hates humans is because they hate him.
So if we love Godzilla, does this mean
No,
that...
it's too late. The damage has been done. The damage has been done.
Yeah, because we created him. We turned him into the monstrosity.
Hey, Godzilla, I just want to... Do you want to go and watch some Netflix later?
Let me put it to you this way. If you take a tiger or a bear and abuse it...
Oh, yeah, definitely,
hard, it would probably have a deep-seated hatred for anything bipedal.
Yeah. And then, like, it would go and, like, rule the jungle and then, like, go and try to kill a man cub. And I'd talk to Richard about it. Richard would be like, yeah, he's totally justified. I was like, no, Richard, you don't justify that.
Well, this is kind of, like, off-topic, on-topic, as I would want to say. Because, like, as you...
Off-topic, on-topic.
Yeah, because, like...
On weekends at 3.
Because you were mentioning the Jungle Book, like, well, Shere Khan's motives in the actual book are actually justified. Because in the book... his mother was killed when he was a cub, which is why he hates mankind.
Oh, yeah, you don't hate everyone. Just kill that guy. It's bad. Anyways, but I digress. So, but overall, you just kind of thought the movie was, nah.
Yeah, it could have been better.
I think that I think Godzilla 2014 is like a really good example of it could have been better. It's one of those movies that you just watch.
It's a good movie, but it could have been better.
Yeah, it's just one of those strong just movies that you just watch and you can think of like a bajillion different ways that you could just make it better or just things were... personally, my thoughts were just like echoed with your guys's. I wish more Bryan Cranston. I actually just wish I cared about the humans.
Yeah.
That's something I just really...
Bryan Cranston made us care about the humans.
Yeah.
I also cared about Ken Watanabe's character, Serizawa.
Yeah. I liked him. I liked him.
A new incarnation of Dr. Serizawa.
Oh, yeah. But, or maybe he's the grandson of the original Serizawa.
Well...
Mind telling folks who that might be?
Dr. Serizawa in the original Godzilla movie was the scientist that actually killed Godzilla. Yeah, he created the oxygen destroyer, the one weapon capable of killing Godzilla.
He was actually pretty distraught with his creation, and he did not want it to get out into the public eye. And he confided in his discovery with his betrothed, like, arranged marriage.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Arranged marriage person, and she kept it a secret for a while, but after witnessing Godzilla's destruction, she just came out and told them that actually there is somebody who might be able to help. And at first he did not want anything to do with it. He did not want to weaponize his creation.
Because he felt it would be more dangerous than the nuclear bomb.
And a part of me says, you know what? He's not wrong.
Yeah. I mean, if you can take down Godzilla, just... But, yeah, what was I gonna say? Okay, so, 2014 Godzilla. Yeah, it's just it is just a big exercise on what could be better. I just didn't care for the characters. I just wanted more Godzilla. The final fight was really good.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was worth it. When you... Well, I don't know if it was worth it. Like, I think that...
I thought it was worth it.
I thought like
Worth the wait.
I don't know. He was. Anyways, but like the blast and everything, that was all cool.
I
and
saw
stuff.
this movie. I saw this movie opening night, and the fact that there were many people cheering
Oh, yeah,
when
yeah,
they
yeah,
were
yeah.
seeing Godzilla for the first time, and especially the first time he uses his atomic breath.
Yeah.
Every one of the audience was like, "Oh!"
Yeah. I think that's what happened with us, Mark. Right?
Yeah.
Like everyone was freaking out when they saw him, and then
like the build up to it. The main character succeeded in blowing up the Muto nest and was trying to crawl away, but he made one tiny noise, and the female picked up on it and was like closing in on him, like, you.
yeah.
And then out of nowhere, you see this blue light, and at first you are like, wait, what? And then you see the tail come up, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, and the noise that it made, the humming.
This is gonna be our podcast now. This is nothing but humming for like 3 hours. We're gonna build up to some humming and then just do another blast. But I thought
And
that
the audience completely lost.
yeah, it happened with us too. But at the same time, honestly, it just was. I think it was just a little too long.
To be honest, I thought the blast was gonna be like, instead of a blue flame, I thought it was gonna be like a kamehameha.
Yeah.
You
But,
mean like the atomic breath that's seen from the Heisei era, right?
Pretty much.
So
I thought it would like engulf the Muto and he would just get like obliterated.
so
Oh no! For kaiju films, you don't want to obliterate the enemy monster so quickly.
yeah, you might want to use that suit later. But basically, so we saw the movie. I saw it with you and Mark. I saw it with Mark and
Richard.
my friend Richard, who unfortunately can't be here today. And he never told me his notes, so I don't know his notes. Richard, you should have sent me your notes. We're recording, and I don't know what your notes. I sent these people like notes of what I was going to talk about today. Anyways, so I saw it then, and then I went and saw it at the drive-thru with my little brother. I felt really bad for him. Like, I really felt bad for him because he's like we're sitting in a drive-in, we're like having a couple beers, and like about 45 minutes into the movie, he leans over to me like that. After like the second time they like teased Godzilla to us, and then they just like pull out. He leans over, he's like, Anthony, you can spoil me now. Bryan Cranston isn't coming back, is he? And my heart just broke. Because the entire time he thought that Bryan Cranston was just going to show up out of nowhere and just save the day. And I was like, I'm so sorry. That must be so painful just thinking.
And you know what? I bet Bryan Cranston feels the same way.
I guess he might, yeah.
It would have
been better if it was just Bryan Cranston and Ken Wabodabo.
I think
I'm so
it would have
sorry.
been better if Bryan Cranston's character had lived, spoilers, and had tried
Everything
to
in this
work
podcast
together.
is a spoiler. If you haven't seen these movies, you're getting spoiled today. Just saying.
If he had worked together with Dr. Shirazawa, while at the same time trying to reconnect with his son, that would have been a more interesting plot point for the human characters.
Yeah, instead of just going and some dude running around going, I'm a bomb expert, I need to go San Francisco. I'm a bomb expert, I need to go San Francisco. Hey guys, did you know that he was a bomb expert?
Like
and he
if
needed to
Bryan
go to San
Cranston's character lived and they called his son back for the bombing mission, and he was very adamant, like, no, I don't care how much training you have, I am not going to lose another member of my family again.
But he's a bomb expert. He needs to go to San Francisco. And then he goes and meets a bomb in San Francisco. And you know what he does? He's like, I don't know how this bomb works. Crap. I'm just going to go and have it go to the bay and just blow up.
That boat was not far enough.
Yeah, whatever. It's a movie. Forgive it. Anyways, so that's our thoughts on the last Godzilla movie. Could have been better.
Yeah.
So we're walking into this.
One more thing.
One more thing.
I still can't believe how like they say like, oh, this creature gets nutrition through radiation. Let's kill it with bombs.
Oh, there's that. And one thing I like and kind of dislike about the movie is when everything is said and done and you look up in the stands of people cheering for this monster that
it was
partly
weird.
responsible for the destruction of San Francisco.
There's a great comic about
and
that.
it shows me and it shows the news headline, King of the Monsters,
Oh, that
Savior
was
of our
great.
city, with
Yeah,
a question mark.
yeah,
I
it
did
was-
like the fact that they put a question mark in that. Like, King of the Monsters, Savior of our city?
Yeah.
Kind of like...
I love how like people like kind of like compare it to Man of Steel. Like they say, oh, like Superman is supposed to be a good guy, yet he destroys a city to save the world and gets bashed, whereas Godzilla destroys a city and he's a hero.
Yeah. But also just want to note, I don't like the fact that like Godzilla was like super friendly to us. Like he like slid under boats and I hated
You know
that.
what? You know what? I think that was all pure chance. I do not think Godzilla even noticed we existed.
He kind of did that on purpose. Anyways,
And
I think we're like ants to him.
we should probably
pretty much.
move
And
on.
the one moment he did take notice that we exist was the moment when the building fell on top of him and he was lying down and he looks down and sees the main character and is like,
Yeah.
"What? This little thing took out the nest?
Yeah.
I've been trying all night and
I don't know if he was saying that.
Wow.
but- okay. Moving on to the next point. We can't spend. We got only a few hours here, bro. So we don't.
Yeah.
All right,
We can't
all
talk
right.
about. I know that the last movie. Basically, we thought the movie could have been better. So what typically happens usually is that whenever America seems to go and make a Godzilla movie, Japan gets all uppity and they're all like, "We can do it better. We're gonna make it better.
Yeah.
We're gonna make
Hey,
Final Wars.
hold on.
Stupid Emmerich. We're better not be talking about 2014. We're done with that. We're not gonna talk about that anymore."
We're rolling Emmerich movie. This movie sucked. We gotta reboot the franchise. The 2014 movie. This movie did well. We gotta reboot the franchise again.
Yeah, well, we didn't do it right. But they didn't do it right. They gotta do it Toho style. So we all three of us went to go see the new one. We actually, it was like not even too far from here. Like I could probably like literally throw a stone like about 2 or 3 times to get to this theater.
Yeah, it's like a walk from here.
Yeah. So like, what do you guys think of the theater and the people there and stuff like that? It wasn't too noisy, right?
the theater was small, but I don't think it was too noisy.
Yeah, it was a nice theater.
Yeah, actually, I haven't been in that theater forever. I used to be in Whittier a lot, but now I'm
Not
just
as
don't-
good as the theater we went to when we saw 2014.
Well, wait, we saw 24. Oh, yeah.
It was an IMAX
Yeah,
theater.
yeah. Well, to be fair, it's like this is a very limited release thing.
A part of
so-
me when I was waiting in line, waiting for you guys, I was looking at all the fans and I'm like, yeah, and then I see this little kid and I'm like, I hope this doesn't give this kid nightmares.
Well, it might have. It
might have.
Spoilers: it will give your kids nightmares.
Oh, yeah.
This
If
is
your
not.
kid-
This Godzilla does not sink under ships and
This is
go
not
in.
this is not the campy Godzilla from the 60s that tried to compete with Gamera's popularity.
Dude, this isn't some disco Godzilla, or he's not even that British Godzilla who's just gonna go and get some tea and crumpets.
This
and go
makes Heisei Godzilla look like Showa Godzilla.
I don't know
Exactly.
I don't know what that means. We'll go and have you guys explain that later.
All you
Anyways,
true believers will know.
Enough said.
Enough said. Anyways, so I thought the theater was really nice. I'm glad that we didn't get too much commotion. We didn't get. I've read some horror stories online about some people like having people like complain about the fact that they have to read subtitles. I've read things about how people just like how the subtitles were off or how the projector wasn't working. I'm so happy that our theater just had everything go well, and the most that we had was during a certain scene, people were screaming out "America, fuck yeah!" I don't know who was doing that, but
Really?
it was
Really,
it was
Anthony?
a very. I think it was
But
very.
you have no idea, but do you have any hypothesis?
I think it might have been some type of person who was very passionate about the scene, and I think that they just added to the movie. What I'm trying to say is I ruined the movie for everyone, and I'm the problem. No. I ruined Godzilla, guys. Godzilla's over. Podcast over. Renee, come back in here.
Although, to be honest, you were immediately silenced during the following scene, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah. So everything worked out in our theater, thankfully. So the movie was okay. So the movie kind of the thing about this Shin Godzilla is that the movie is like, what would you say, like 80% politics, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sounds awful. Like if you told me, Anthony, Shin Godzilla is 80% politics. Oh, they're opening their notes now.
It's just me, and it's
No, Mark was like, all like.
No, I don't have notes. I was looking through the document.
the director. To me, the directors took them more realistic approach to the central question: how do you solve a problem like Godzilla?
That better not be a script, man. I swear to God. Anyways, but yeah, it was. Yeah, if you go like, if you went, do you guys like? Okay, how much like Godzilla do you actually want in your Godzilla movie?
I don't know.
Like a percentage.
I do not know.
Like, okay, I guess it does, like, because, like, if you went and told me, like, Anthony, it's gonna be 80% politics, 20% Godzilla, I'd probably be like, this sounds worse than 2014, where...
But
I want to say 50 to 60% Godzilla.
Oh my goodness,
but one of the things I do appreciate about the 80% politics bit is that it actually shows just how unprepared countries are for large-scale disasters.
Yeah, it was honestly, they were, the entire, like, beginning of the movie, they're just scrambling, because they don't know what it is. There's just something...
The entire beginning of the movie, at first they thought it was like a geological
it was just like, there was just like,
there's like, there's Tokyo Bay.
Yeah, there was just like, oh, there's like a volcano. Oh, it's just like, it's just a water spout. There's nothing big deal. Like, there's like YouTube videos of like a tail and just stuff like that, and everyone's like, don't say the tail. Don't be stupid. We're gonna look stupid. Everyone, the thing about the politics is it's very Japanese. And if you don't know about Japanese politics, it's like, they try to save face as much as they can, and everyone was trying to save face, which was making the
much like our country.
No. Like, if someone said it might be a creature because there was a YouTube video, they might actually go and say that. They might actually consider that idea. In Japan, they don't want to touch it. They had there was a scene like near the middle of the movie
where they had 3 biologists.
Yeah, and the creature's already flopping around. Yeah. And, like, they're like, we don't want to touch this.
We don't want to touch it. I cannot confirm what kind of creature this is unless I get a sample of it.
Yeah, none of them wanted to even, like, go and admit there's a creature there. It's, like, flopping in your yard, and it's like, we don't want... That's how much save face they have. And it was really interesting politics. It was very much... one of the things that they say very, like, after the first attack... is like we had 2 hours of like prep time.
The entire beginning of the film was them going to a meetings, trying to discuss how to deal with this crisis, and which goes to another conference, which leads to another meeting, and which leads to another conference.
Which sounds awful, but it was really interesting because like you just see them like scrambling, and you don't know what it is, and
and you have people who really want to save face, and you have people who actually genuinely care for what's going on, what's going to happen to the citizens.
Honestly, there was only like 2 people that were trying to do that. You had like the one guy, the younger guy, and the guy with the glasses. Those were only 2 that were actually trying to do something about it.
Yeah, because like the first act of the movie was like, what is this thing? Where did it come from? Second act was like, oh, we made this creature. We fucked up. How are we gonna kill this thing? And then the third act was basically like, we can't kill it. We gotta learn how to deal with it.
This may be too late, but just so you know, this is like a direct reboot.
Oh yeah.
This is like a complete reimagining.
It's basically the original Gojira remade.
With some liberties taken.
Yeah, I think a few liberties.
Yeah.
But definitely it was really interesting though, because they would just like it was almost frustrating at times because there's a scene where Godzilla's kind of flopping around. When Godzilla comes out, he's very different from how everyone imagined Godzilla.
He was this googly-eyed ass.
He was. He looked basically like what the fans had dubbed the first form. He goes through evolutionary stages, much like a Pokemon.
That was actually his second form.
He looked like a bipedal eel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Complete with the
eyes.
Complete with
gills.
the large eyes and gills that were bleeding.
Ugh.
I kid you not. I kid you not. It looked like it was. Not only was it look like it was trying to struggle on land, it looked like it was struggling trying to
breathe. Yeah.
Trying to breathe on air with its newfound lungs.
You can really sympathize with that creature.
Well, I don't know. It was kind of tearing everything up.
It looked goofy.
Yeah.
That was one thing. Like
you were probably all like, "Look at it, Dan, googly ass, googly."
To be fair, I've tried.
It
I've
looks
spoiled
goofy
myself.
and terrifying.
I've spoiled myself a
same
little
time.
bit on this movie, but I did not spoil myself on that. I don't know. I just missed that one. And if I saw that, I probably would not have seen this movie because I would have been like, this is the stupidest thing ever. But looking at it in motion, it is unsettling. It is creepy. Like, you think, oh, it has big old eyes, it's googly, and it's flopping around.
Not to mention, some of the pieces in the soundtrack actually are accompanied by English lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Like the first track you hear when Godzilla first comes up onto shore in his eel form was called "Persecution of the Masses,"
Ooh.
and I took the chance to listen to the entire soundtrack before going to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a freaking prayer going into battle.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, it was really weird seeing
Also,
this.
the lyrics kind of feel like it's as if Godzilla himself is speaking about like his creation and what mankind did to him and how he feels about his like overall birth.
Yeah, and it's just, but it was definitely the thing that I just want to punctuate is that this monster is a very unsettling monster. It isn't like,
It is not the hero from the Showa era. It is not the anti-hero from the Heisei era. It is not even the neutral, disastrous creature from the Millennium era.
And it's not the Guardian from the 2014 either.
it is a monster in like the most literal sense. It is.
Yes.
It is even.
It is an abomination.
Yeah, that is a good
Yeah.
word for it.
I
And,
mean, it's scarier than the original Gojira.
and that's just in its fish form. It's just a gross fish
Yeah.
that's barfing blood, and it's creepy and unsettling. The first shot we actually see, one of the first shots we actually see in this movie is like this tunnel, and it gets flooded with blood, and you're just like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't even know if that was blood or not. I'm like, is that blood? And
Well,
then,
knowing Hideaki Anno, it must have been LCL. But
Yeah.
I mean, you even see the blood in the water.
Yeah, it's,
As well.
Yeah, it's really unsettling, but like I was saying before, and you're trying to see these government's agents, like they literally go, oh, it's not a creature, it's a creature. Oh, it's too big.
it is way too. I mean, okay, we established this is a creature, but due to the sheer size, it would be impossible for it to go on land. If it got on land, its own weight would crush its bones.
Yeah.
And then it went on land.
Yeah. And then, spoilers, obviously, it evolved.
Well, we're not there yet, but it's rampaging through the city, and it's
And
like
you see
flopping
all these
around.
boats, and you see all the boats from the shore just all clumped together and falling out falling out of the water. Falling out of the water onto the streets and tunnels and highways
And they're just trying to figure out what to do, and they finally mobilize their military, and they like evacuate the area as much as they can, and they mobilize the military, and then they're like, okay, we got our sights on it, we can blow this thing up.
and then
There's two people walking in front of.
that's after it evolved.
Oh, okay, after it evolves.
They managed to get most of the people out, and there was a little comical part in the movie where this little armless eel-looking beast tried to stand upright, much similar to a human.
Mm-hmm.
And I just hear the audience laughing, and I'm.
It was a little kind of silly.
It was I admit it was still kind of silly, but I was still.
Yeah, it's still shocking.
Yeah,
It's
'cause
still
you feel
shocking,
bad
and
for
I'm
this
looking
creature.
At this thing, and I'm looking at this thing with its nubs. Sorry, excuse for nubs. And then it evolved. You hear a soundtrack from the original 1954 film, and its arm. You see its arm. You see those little nubs actually do become functioning tiny arms, and it begins to stand upright. It changes color.
It turns like more red.
Yeah. And it even roars like the original Gojira.
Which I think they should have saved for his final form in the movie.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
Well,
And then the military finally mobilizes, and they're just like, oh, okay, we can blow this thing to hot Kingdom
Okay,
Come.
we're in position, and Godzilla's just sitting there staring at them as if looking at these strange flying creatures for the first time. Like,
But
Ah.
because there was a couple civilians in the way, the Prime Minister of Japan was like, nope, pull out. And it's frustrating because like all this politics and they're trying to do everything, but they keep messing up, and it's really interesting.
And then it just flees back into the water.
Yeah.
Yep.
The end! Okay, so how did you guys like the movie? I thought it was kind of weird how Godzilla was a floppy monster.
Okay.
No.
Well, speaking of his evolution form, like they said that the giant eel form was only a second form.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of spoiled myself on this because I saw it and I actually thought that was like his offspring. Like I thought like Godzilla was gonna have offspring in the movie, like he would have had a baby Godzilla. And I did hear that he would have other forms, but I just didn't know what they would look like. And as they mentioned, the eel form was only a second form. They did not show his first form. So in like promo stuff or like things that were like at conventions, when they showed Godzilla's supposed final form, like the one that looks more recognizable to Godzilla, if you look below his foot, you see like this weird tadpole creature. Maybe that's what Godzilla looked like before he absorbed the radiation and evolved.
It's more like this kind of a blob with a little tail.
Yeah.
Okay, you were saying this now?
When I first saw the design of his final form, I think it was like last year or so, I tried to justify why did he look like a freaking zombie?
Yeah, you look really.
Well,
that was.
I did.
And then I formed up the theory that, okay, what if this is like the Millennium series where they just kept rebooting with each movie installment? What if this was the original Godzilla, bigger, badder, and he was regenerating from the effects of the oxygen destroyer? Like it took all that time for his body to regenerate.
He's like Superman or something.
That's what some people theorized. Well, when I saw Godzilla's final form where he was kind of zombified, I know exactly what they're going for. He's supposed to be a mutation of nuclear radiation. He's supposed to represent the scars and tragedy of the nuclear bomb because that's what he really is.
Not to mention the fact that there were reports of people not fortunate enough to die during the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings.
Yeah.
And they pretty much looked like they looked even worse than the ghouls from Fallout.
Yeah.
Because the creator of Godzilla, like when he did the original movie, they said that his overall design is based on actual scars of victims during the Nagasaki Hiroshima bombings.
But like the thing with that he looks more skeleton. That's more like is that the final form, or is that? I thought that was the third form.
The third form, he did kind of like look a little bony because like his arms were still like tiny.
Yeah. That's why I thought.
Should we move on to another plot point?
Oh no! Just I'm talking about this form in general.
People call it Turkeyzilla.
Turkeyzilla. Actually, I remember when I spoiled myself seeing the final form. I just thought that it was just weird, and how his like mouth was all fangly and stuff, and his eyes were just kind of goofy, and I was
his
like, his
teeth looked very needle-like.
Yeah. Which works because like he was like a fish or something.
Ish.
Okay, so. After that, it's just a lot of politics.
Then Godzilla comes back.
Well, I just want to note that, like, in the politics, you start to meet your main characters and stuff like that, and you go and figure out who you're supposed to like, who you're not supposed to like. And the characters themselves, I can't remember their names from the top of my head. I just remember it was like, you got the main dude, you got the guy with the glasses, you have
the chick who was supposedly born in America, and yet English is clearly her second language.
Yeah.
You had the ambassador. You had.
You had all these like cool players, and like the main dude, he starts up his own little task force made up of like weirdos and nerds and
outcasts
and creepy old men who tell you the secrets of the universe.
You and your creepy old men and the secrets of the universe.
It was great. He was all like, what's that about Godzilla?
I had to hear this 3 times during the drive here.
Well, it's a good joke.
It is a good joke.
What? What's that, old man? Godzilla actually is the world. And he has cancer? Oh, no, you have cancer. Okay, that makes sense. 4th time's a charm. It's a great joke. This is awful. Anyways. This is all awful. Unlike the movie. The movie is great. I love the politics. I love the characters. That's something that this movie has completely over the 2014 movie. Like, even like the characters I didn't even know because they just like flash their name really fast and what they do. That's something that you gotta do. Like,
yeah, I really didn't like how the subtitles, like there were some at the bottom and then there was top subtitles, and you gotta
the
like
top shows the
look up
location
and
and
up
time.
and down.
yeah. And it's very like it's like it just shows who they are and what they do and stuff.
I
like
haven't
that.
seen Hideaki Anno's Neon Genesis Evangelion, but I can pretty much summarize what I was going to be expecting in this movie based on what I have heard.
Yeah, the movie is very much styled based off of what he does.
A lot me. Like, I went in there and is like, okay, if this is going to be Hideaki Anno, I'm going to expect at least one god analogy. There were 8.
you underestimated the man. The man's insane.
Oh no, I just said I'm going in there expecting
At least one.
But I always mentally prepare myself for more.
The dude uses music from Evangelion in this goddamn movie, and he also
For like 2 or 3 tracks.
he uses it like 4 times apparently. And not only that, but he also makes the little references, and there's a little Asuka Twitter icon. Definitely though, when you're watching this movie, if you're not used to subtitles, just have your hand on the remote, because sometimes you're gonna wanna go.
You're
and
gonna want to
pause.
pause, read, continue, pause.
Especially when that American chick talked, like she talked really fast.
Yeah.
Like I get like the whole stereotype. Oh, we
quote
have-
unquote American.
Yeah, quote unquote American. But like, yeah, she talked really fast. I mean, we don't talk that fast. I mean, I don't talk that fast. What are you talking about? You guys think I talk that fast? I don't talk that fast. Americans don't talk that fast.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Exactly.
Peter Parker.
Ay.
This show's awful. Don't watch it, people. Why are you listening to this? Oh my god. Anyway,
For subscribers, you need subscribers.
no, I don't. I don't want subscribers. None of you subscribe.
Everybody,
Don't
subscribe to the Creepo Deepo.
No, don't. The only show you actually were a little behind the scenes when Nathaniel was all like, "So wait, you have a podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm doing a couple episodes here. Have a link to one." And he's like, "Creepo, Deepo, are you serious?" And I was like,
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
he was just like, "This is why would you call your show that? I mean, well, couldn't you call your show like Crisis of Infinite Podcast? That's a really good show. That you should call your show that."
It is a good show. Watch my first episode, Nickelodeon's Dirty Nostalgic.
No, shut up! No promos. You don't get no promos. Don't watch it. I'm not gonna put a link to it in the description right now.
all right.
But so round out, we actually do like the characters in this. There's a really cute girl who's just really silent and angry and judgy.
She's Ray.
Yeah, no, she's not Ray because she's all Suzu.
Her performance made me think of Ray.
Well, you haven't. I would like to remind
just
people,
because
folks.
I haven't seen. Just keep in mind, I still haven't seen Evangelion, but I know some of the characters. I know their
You
tropes.
don't know them. You don't know them like the way that like Nira knows them, or like the way Mark knows them. Mark doesn't
Or
know
like
them
Nathan
either.
2 knows them.
No, I don't know.
Well, technically, he might be Nathan 1 for you, but
He's Nathan too, but anyways, he's gonna be on the show later on eventually. Hi Nathan, I missed you. You should watch more Godzilla. You could have been on this show. Anyways, we like the characters. I like the characters. I wish that I wish 2014 actually got the character. Not only that, but like the angles at certain shots and like the
camera angles actually made you feel like this creature was massive.
Well, no. I mean, for the politics thing, they had a lot of dynamic angles and shots just for the politics. Like you would have like really close-ups, so it wasn't just like it wasn't like
We
a
need
shot,
your approval,
shot,
Prime
shot,
Minister.
shot. Yeah, it was really interesting. Everything was really good. And then the monster comes back, and you're like, oh, it's serious time again.
Yep.
That's something that the movie did really well. It's like when Godzilla shows up, it is a huge deal.
Yeah.
They even played the theme from the 1964 or 65 Godzilla vs. Mothra.
Yeah.
So Godzilla comes back and he's like tearing up the other side of Japan. And he's all like, "I'm gonna tear up this side now," or was he? Like,
This is my land now.
yeah.
It's because he needs to feed on nuclear radiation.
He needs to feed on nuclear energy to sustain himself.
Yeah. and the military comes and they attack him.
Yeah.
And
it did nothing.
I loved how like the bullets just like when they bounce off his skin, it made like metallic noises, like
Or
if he,
what
like if
little
he's,
skin there was.
like if he's Colossus or Superman.
If Mark actually could have like been rude.
They
and
even tried to shoot his legs. Those legs are thick as...
Yeah.
They were thick legs.
Thicker than Chun-Li's legs.
Seriously, like
Fun fact.
it was like trying to cut
Fun
like
fact,
burnt
Chun-Li's
cheese.
legs are not that thick.
No, like if you look at the sprites for Chun-Li's leg, they are as thick as E Honda's legs. Yeah, she has some thick legs. Anyways, so back to Thunder Thighs here. He has +2 health and he can move slowly now. That's a joke for Alex. He's not gonna listen to this. So Godzilla comes back, and also we should note that like the U.S. is like coming in, and they're like,
The
yo,
U.S., China, and Russia want to bomb him.
yeah, they're just like, yo, we want this thing diggity dead, and like biologists and Mark are all like, no, save Godzilla.
They had protesters saying Godzilla is God.
They
Yeah.
actually did. They actually did.
It's like
Gosh
that one
darn
scene.
it, Hideaki Anno.
It's like that scene from Akira. It's like they just have that weird random It's literally just that, except for Mark's leading it. He's like sitting on a chair eating a banana, just going on. Godzilla is our friend. He is my best friend, and he is my daddy. He went and got me hot dogs one time. It was pretty sweet. So. But America wants to blow it up because we're America and we want to blow things up. So Godzilla like passes through the military. He doesn't get any affected, and he's like in the city now, right?
Yeah.
It's dark now.
It's dark. It takes Godzilla a while to get through the places, as it does for all of us. And so like it's dark and like
And while the military are still trying different tactics, out of nowhere, our stealth bombers get the drop on Godzilla and actually surprise him and manage to hurt him.
Yeah.
which was actually really shocking to me.
I know,
Like
because
you
like,
actually
the bomb.
see him recoil.
Yeah, he's like, ah!
Yeah, because the bomb.
Granted,
like,
his eyes are lifeless, but you could see the surprise in his eyes.
Because the bomb actually like went inside his back because he has like these air vents to let the excess amount of radiation heat to expel from him. Like it went inside his back and blew out one of his spinal
Dorsal
fins.
spines.
Yeah,
It blew out one of his dorsal spines, and you saw blood raining down, and it was gruesome.
Yeah.
And Godzilla just stayed in that position for
a few seconds.
for like a minute and a half. And meanwhile, they're trying to evacuate the prime minister, and then he starts glowing purple. Not just his back, his body.
Mark made these sounds as he was watching the movie too. He was like, oh yeah.
And then you hear the strange, tranquil, almost hauntingly beautiful music accompanied by it.
And his eyes just like went black.
His eyes went black. You hear this music that sounds like a freaking opera score. And just as depressing as any opera score.
Like you see like the smoke being inhaled by him.
You see the
his
smoke?
mouth opens up
His mouth...
like a serpent. This
a
gaping
serpent.
maw.
His
I
mouth...
wish you honestly could see their expressions.
jaw.
They're super exciting.
His jaw, his lower jaw actually split apart, much like that of a snake. And you see the glow in his mouth, and then out of nowhere, you see the expel of radioactive waste come out of him,
Yeah, you
Which was
see,
really
and flooding the city.
you see flames first, and then it became a purple beam.
No.
You see the smoke first, followed by the radioactive fire that completely obliterates the all the streets in the city.
It's terrifying because it's just like
I haven't seen that level of destruction since both Gamera 2 and 3.
It's
and
not-
that's saying something because these were Gamera films, and this was... Whew.
Yeah,
it's-
I have never seen Godzilla do this much destruction in any movie.
Yeah, it's
Well, maybe we have, but they just...
well, to be fair, it punctuated that well.
Yeah.
And when he does this is a
And by the
big
time
deal.
And by the time his atomic breath is done, it shrinks and concentrates into like a single heat ray. That
Just
a single
destroys
concentrated heat ray
fucking cities.
and destroyed the helicopter that was
That had the
evacuating the
Prime
Prime
Minister,
Minister in it.
Didn't it also hit the stealth bomber that hit him?
Oh, we'll
that-
get to that.
oh,
we'll get to that.
yeah.
Oh no, that was also a part of it. After the
When he does the
Oh,
first
no,
beam,
we're-
he hits him.
they were after the beam had died down, the stealth bombers witnessing the destruction tried to go back and hit him a second time, but he
Yeah.
was prepared. He was prepared for another assault because this was something that we had never seen Godzilla actually do. We've seen something similar, but not to this extent.
Oh yeah.
The little slits for the heat vents that you mentioned, Mark. He started glowing again, and instead of releasing another atomic breath, you see just these several streams of
Beams of light.
Coming from his back.
from his back.
Like
And
he's like making a
absolutely
disco show, and but it's not a good disco show, guys.
And it completely destroys the stealth bombers in the air that were caught in it.
And it's just devastating seeing all this level of destruction. It is.
And after all is said and done, and his body used up all the energy, his body just seems to like lock in place.
It's like he went in a shutdown mode.
yeah.
His body just completely locked in place. Like even his tail stood completely still, and that thing was like flowing in the wind, immaculate.
Yeah,
Throughout
it
the
is.
entire time he's on screen.
It's
And what I liked during the destruction is that like you see an explosion behind him, and like you see like his neck glow purple, and it looked like he was wearing like one of those like Shinto religious necklaces, like what Akuma would wear. I'm guessing that's like a symbolism of like him as a god. You know, kind of like how like in the Superman movies where like you would see him like with his arms like crossed, like doing like a whole Jesus symbolism.
Only this is not a benevolent god.
this
Oh
is
yeah,
this is a very
This is Old Testament God.
this is old. He did like if you like he
Revelations god.
No,
maybe.
Old Testament God kind of blew people up and turned people into salt just for turning around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so literally Godzilla just kind of like takes out the raid and sprays it all over the floor and then lights it all on fire. If you need to understand what he did, which is terrifying when you think about like, and it like the music and the atmosphere just makes it just it's so
Haunting.
Haunting and beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful, but haunting at the same time. Like you don't know what to
A
feel.
symphony of
Should you feel? Should you
Yeah.
feel horrified? Should you feel humbled? Should you feel?
It honestly is a
Excited?
little humbling just because
It is very humbling.
just because when like you think Godzilla, oh you know he's just gonna fumble around. I mean we watched.
You're
the movie.
gonna see when you think Godzilla, you think of either the dance or that one time during the Smog Monster movie. You don't
Yeah.
see that every day.
Yeah, you don't see it every day, but it's like it's so
And be honest, you don't see that every day.
that it was honestly, and it's honestly beautiful. Like even if like you hate the politics, even if you don't like the politics and you don't like the talking, you don't like the subtitles, that alone, I honestly think makes way up for it. If you don't like this movie because you don't like the politics, that makes up for it. Like I don't necessarily agree with you guys saying that Godzilla doing the fight at the end of the 2014 movie was like worth it. I don't think that was worth it.
This
Fair.
was worth
It's
it.
fair. It's
This
fair. This was worth
was
it.
worth it in spades, and and we're not even at the end of the movie. This is like the halfway point. So everything's full, everything's messed up, everything's like burning, everyone's dying.
And so now the government is now on the clock because the United Nations want Godzilla gone now.
Yeah.
And they have given them a time and date to come up with a new strategy. Otherwise, they're just gonna blow it up.
Yeah.
They're gonna
They
drop.
want to use nukes, but they said that since they even said this isn't even like his final form, they said it's possible that he may grow wings.
That he may evolve even further to
Who knows?
who knows what.
We know what, but we're not gonna talk about that yet.
Oh yeah.
And-
Anyway.
Yeah, so it's just And so everyone's kind of like mobilizing. They're trying to come up with a plan. They're trying to.
They're trying to get the resources to enact said plan.
Yeah.
But everybody is like, nah,
And-
son.
They basically, this guy just gets bored and does an origami, and he's all like, "I figured it out."
Oh
We
yeah,
did."
yeah. There was
No,
there was a subplot of a Japanese scientist. There was a subplot of a scientist who caught on to them dumping radioactive material into the bay, and he wrote out all these different blueprints after he disappeared. Mm-hmm. And
then the crazy old man who
thought,
was talking about the universe, he was like,
and they thought, and the blueprints that they left behind, he thought that he left unfinished on purpose. But in fact, you actually had to take the entirety of the blueprints and fold them to see the revelation.
Yeah, he was all like, what's that, old man, that you have cancer? I know you have cancer. He's like, oh my goodness, you folded it in half. Good job. I didn't think you could do that with your cancer. Oh, it's actually like the thing that makes us so we know how to beat Godzilla. 'Cause everyone... Okay, cool. Yes, I know you have cancer. Nathan's face is the best. You guys can't see it, but he's so just distraught and just angry about this stupid joke that me and Mark want to peripherate.
You see, I like stupid jokes as much as the next guy, but even I have my limits.
I don't. Anyways, so they figure. Okay, so the main thing is that they want to try to figure out something so that they don't. So Japan doesn't have to nuke themselves, because Japan is like, we don't want to nuke ourselves.
Yeah, because they know that it's happened before.
Yeah, it's like nobody wants to get stabbed and then be told, yeah, you gotta go to get stabbed again, but you have to do the stabbing. It's like, oh, that sucks. And so they're trying to find an alternative. No one really has any good plans, and everyone's just kind of sulking because they're like accepting the fact that Japan's gonna get nuked again. And so there's this like slightly crackpot plan to go and freeze them, but they don't really know how it works. They figure out to do the fold thing, and then it's like, oh crap, we can freeze Godzilla. We just need the materials, and so they go and mobilize, and everyone's like working together. Humanity's doing its part. It's great.
They wake him out of dormancy with explosive trains.
Yeah, it's really awesome. Like, I actually thought, like, when he was just kind of chilling there, I was like, I hope they like puts like some C4 under him or something, or like they put like a stick of dynamite between his toes and light the fuse. But no, they were fighting Godzilla in a very, very smart way. Like, they would drop buildings on him, and they were
this Godzilla, although powerful as he may be, he runs out of energy rather quickly.
Yeah. Also, he kind of technically evolved more because his tail can now shoot the atomic beam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's he's
so you
like,
have him shooting from 2 different directions.
Well, more like 3 if you count his back.
No,
so he's like an ultimate laser show.
God knows how many stealth drones that they had.
Yeah.
For this plan to work.
So pretty much the plan is make Godzilla beam so much that he wastes all his MP, and so he can't go and do the beam anymore. Drop something on him, and then just shove and
shove the freezing agent into his body.
Yeah, just go and feed it to him. Just go and give him a bunch of little silly straws, and then he just is all like, oh, silly straws. I mean, the moral of the story is, if you want to kill someone, just kill him with a silly straw, because nobody can resist a silly straw.
They gave him Ecto Cooler.
They gave him the Ecto Cooler.
Long story short, after 3 attempts at freezing him, they managed to succeed, and his whole body freezes mid-roar.
Yeah,
and
like a statue.
And the day is saved. The analysts studying the radiation in the city determined that with Godzilla out of the way, the radiation is going down at a rapid rate and would basically disappear in the matter of 3 years.
Yeah, which is honestly
very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Because you look at a nuclear meltdown or something like that, that would take hundreds of years to go away. And then we have our little moment with the main hero and the American representative, quote unquote American, just having little witty political banter of what will the future hold next. And I kind of like the fact that the guy said mankind is just gonna have to learn to live with Godzilla.
Yeah, like if he was just like any natural disaster.
Or a crappy
Because
roommate.
you cannot.
Godzilla, you didn't wash the dishes. Why
Because
didn't you do
we
that? Scream.
because humanity had tried everything to kill it and failed. Well, not everything. They didn't try to nuke it, but let's be honest. Would the nuke just make him even more powerful? Would that be
Yes.
worth the risk?
No.
Yeah.
And so we see the little moment, and then we get on to the next topic,
Oh boy.
the ending.
Well,
ending.
Well, let's just talk about what we liked and didn't like about the movie first before we
okay.
talk about
Yeah.
the big reveal at the end.
Okay.
The big reveal is that
The big reveal is really fast.
Is that Mark is actually Godzilla? Mark, how's it feel to be Godzilla? How do you like being Godzilla? How do you feel to go and shoot lasers at your back?
No, Skreonk.
Screonk!
That would actually fit more of Rodan.
Well, my dad. Love you, pops.
I know, but likes and dislikes.
Listen, like I said earlier, I love the politics. We didn't really talk about it too much just because it's really
There is just so much, and it's so complex.
we only have so much time, and I don't got that much money. Anyways, it's very complex, and honestly, I think that a big part of the movie is the politics. So I don't really want to spoil that much for you. It's weird. Let's go talk about all Godzilla's forms and how they end up defeating Godzilla and all that stuff. But like the politics is so interesting. I don't want to get into it like that much because I just want, if you're gonna go see it,
If you're gonna see it for yourself, just be prepared for a lot of talking.
Yeah.
well, like I said earlier, just get ready for that pause button.
Get ready for the pause button. Be sure to try and properly digest the information that's being given to you.
The first act with the politics kind of seemed a little bit boring, but I think the second
It
and
felt like a
third
Godzilla
act,
movie.
but the second and third act really like got you interested.
Oh yeah. Actually, little confession here. I feel really bad, but near the end of the last politics bit, I actually was nodding off a bit. I think I was just really tired from work.
Yeah, that's a lot of the problems I've been hearing for people who saw it. Like the third act with more talking.
But like it's really weird. I've fallen asleep in movies before, and if I fall asleep in a movie, usually that's just a huge minus. But honestly, it was like, you know what? This movie is so good. Even though I was trying to nod off, and my body was like, you should probably sleep. I still think this movie was great. And it blows the 2014 out of the water.
Oh,
but
yeah. Big time.
I'm not gonna lie. It does.
Yeah, and it's almost
As much as I like the 2014 Godzilla, I still think, yeah, this one blows it out of the water.
It's what 2014 should have been.
It makes me hope that America looks at this movie and take notes for the coming
yes.
sequel.
Yes.
The thing about it though, it's just like the thing about it is like it's really, I can't really recommend this movie to everyone because like
Oh yeah, this movie is
Yeah.
definitely not for everyone.
yeah, like I don't think I would want my
For
little
the fans.
Well, my little brother, he loves Godzilla. He likes seeing big monsters, but I don't think he would like this movie because I think that
You would think that the politics would like drive him away.
yeah, definitely. I mean, when we were watching Final Wars together, I had to go and skip the talkie parts there, and that's Final Wars.
There isn't that much talking parts in Final Wars.
Yeah, I know, but my brother just wants to see Godzilla go kick some monster butt.
But did you at least show him the humans fighting?
I tried. He was just like, "No, man, I just want to see Godzilla." I'm like, "Okay, I'll skip the Godzilla." I know. It sucks, but you know.
He wanted to skip Don Fry.
I know.
He wanted to skip. For those of you who don't know, there's an American actor in the movie named Don Fry, and I kid you not, the way he looks just like Mike Hagar.
He looks like
from Final Fight.
He looks like Mike Hagar, and he only talks in catchphrases. He is literally the best part of that movie, like mine after Godzilla. Well, no, he might be.
I think this is Japan's interpretation of the cool American hero.
Yep.
In a Godzilla movie.
Yeah.
And I really love that.
It was so good. He was too over the top, but back to the point. I like this movie a whole lot. There's honestly I'm trying to think of something I don't like about this movie. I guess you could have
when they switch back and forth from Japanese to English.
Yeah.
I guess.
And it still had subtitles.
And the English voice acting was really stale for the foreign characters.
Yeah, the foreign characters could have been. I think that the English in general was kind of bad, especially the chick. I mean, I didn't want to be a little sexist, but like the glasses guy, when he spoke English, it actually was like really clear, and actually like I can actually understand what he was saying. Apparently, the chick was just learning English during the filming, so that's why her English was pretty bad.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, which honestly, that was probably the biggest gripe. I was like, she's not a convincing like American. I would have actually preferred if they got like someone who actually lived in America for a while to just drop over. Get that chick from Suicide Squad. She's an American kind of. Well, she's from Japan, but she's spoken enough English.
Yeah.
I don't know. Get the chick from Pacific Rim. She's great. Everyone likes her.
Yeah, you basically summarized what I liked about the movie. I actually did like the politics too. I actually and I really loved all of the action all of the destruction Godzilla wrought.
There was so much weight to the destruction. I mean,
it was both scary. Like I said earlier, it was scary
and humbling
at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, look at the movie we just watched last night. I mean, there was so much destruction in it. I didn't even care. It was just there.
Yeah.
It was just there.
It wasn't. You don't like. You'll see like some people like running away and scared, but it's not.
And you see him destroy the buildings, but you don't feel the full weight of the situation.
Yeah, when you see Godzilla open up his maw and just like expel that breath, and I was just like, what is that, like a poison? It looks so deadly and scary, and then it's just like,
and then out of nowhere
he lights it and everything's on fire. He's just standing there.
That's what it probably was. It was probably a gas, and then he would later ignite it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the raid.
Yeah.
It was, but it's so terrifying. And it's brilliant because like if you're a big monster man and you got to go and kill something like a bunch of little things, that's the best way to do it. Just like burn it all up.
Everything burned.
Yeah, and it was terrifying. I like the design of the monster. I'm so happy that because I always thought I was worried that this would look goofy and scary.
I was deterred by his design. I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
And then I saw the movie and I'm like, okay, this is.
Even like in a trailer.
He acts like Godzilla. I may not like the way he looks, but this is the Godzilla I know.
Yeah, like when I saw the trailers, I didn't even like him in the trailers. I thought it was like the tail was wagging too much and it looked kind of like jarring compared to the graphics in this movie. Also were really good too.
Good lord, that tail looked so celestial.
Yeah, but the graphics, there's only a few shots of Godzilla that don't make him look that good. Like the first form kind of like is a little jarring.
I remember there was a part in the movie where he was moving really, really awkwardly.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it like, oh man, they screwed up here.
Yeah. There's only a few times when that happens.
Very few times.
Yeah.
And if you happen to watch the movie, trust me, you'll know.
Mm-hmm. But the first form, it kind of was a little jarring. Like, oh, this is just a CG monster.
I heard people laughing. I was just silent.
Yeah.
Because internally I knew, despite how goofy this first form looked, if I saw something that big coming at me in the street, I would be.
Oh yeah.
I would be terrified.
Oh yeah.
I would be running.
Mark, how'd you feel about like the graphics and stuff? Did you notice anything like out of the ordinary? Yeah, like you guys were more like aficionados of Godzilla. How did you feel that it was all CG? That he wasn't a guy in a suit at all?
Well, with the CG, it did make you look like it did make you kind of believe like this could have been a guy in a suit.
Yeah, yeah. It also helps that they actually motion captured all of Godzilla's movements.
Yeah, they did.
For this movie, but it also makes me kind of sad that the age of Suitmation is kind of
dead. Well, with the Attack on Titan movie, they did a combination of Suitmation and CGI.
I didn't see that one. I have no desire to see it.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. But hopefully, maybe, I don't know, maybe, I think that, I don't know how well this movie would work if it was like if it like had a suit. I think a mix of the two might have worked.
In all honesty, if this is the way that future kaiju films are going to be made, then I then I'm not gonna. Then I'm. Bleh. I won't mind. Honestly, so long as the motion capturing feels
Yeah.
authentic, feels like
Yes.
it feels like these creatures have weight to them.
Definitely. All right. So we were kind of dancing around the ending. So at the very end of the movie,
we look up at Godzilla's frozen body mid roar, and we just hear the wind howling. And
yeah,
the
it's
camera
completely silent. There's no
pans
music
up,
or anything like that.
and the camera pans up from his feet to his head, and we're like, yeah, we're gonna have to deal with you again one day. And then we notice something very odd about his tail. It looked like it was all splitting apart at the seams, and we're like,
what we
what
see
the?
is just, dear God, it was like out of a nightmare.
It was like a
like an
it
H.R. Geiger. Or,
exactly. It looked like something
like from John
inspired
Carpenter's The Thing.
yeah, or like what's the dude who made Alien? Like it was something he designed.
Scott Ridley.
Yeah, Scott Ridley. It looked like something he drew.
It looked like a bunch of skeletal
Yeah.
humanoid
Godzillas,
Godzillas like splitting apart and reaching out to the sky.
Yeah, as though they were just crawling out, just like being birthed. It was
Unsettling.
It was unsettling to say the least.
And then the movie just ends.
yeah,
And it plays the theme.
And then it just plays a whole medley of Akira
Ifukube's greatest hits.
Greatest hits.
which was
Yeah.
actually really good which was really nice. I mean, you guys were like freaking out, especially
We freaked out at the
When they played the theme from the Heisei Mechagodzilla movie.
that we saw.
Because maybe they're implying something like, what if like Godzilla fights
No,
Mechagodzilla?
I don't think so. I think I read and heard that during the that after the production of the movie, Hideaki Anno said this was probably the most frustrating project he has ever worked on. And I can understand why. Toho is very, very protective of their icon.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But like you know
They
what?
kept it, like they were dictating what he can and cannot do with the character.
To be fair, I would love to know, like, just like to pick apart his brain to know what he was like, the radical crazy stuff. Because like this is pretty radical and crazy itself. This is pretty crazy, and you know what? Maybe it
Especially when Godzilla goes full anime.
yeah. But more on the tail, it's just okay. So what do you guys kind of think about what's going on there?
I kind of discussed this with Richard.
Uh-huh.
Well, I have like multiple theories. Well,
We only got so much time, so condense them,
man.
man.
well, my first theory is that like, what if like during his first form, he
was consuming anyone that came
Yes.
across him, and they
Yes.
were mutating inside his body.
Kind of like, you know how in Dragon Ball Z, Cell.
Think about it as like a simulation. Yeah, much like you mentioned, Cell from Dragon Ball,
Yeah,
or like the Thing.
Yeah,
okay,
because
okay,
like, because Cell needed to absorb bioenergy from human beings to gain full potential before he can absorb Android 17 and 18. Maybe that's something similar with Godzilla. Like he also needed to absorb organic material in order to absorb radiation.
Absorbing
But-
organic material, gaining their genetic code, and maybe that's why he's walking up right now.
Maybe.
I heard that maybe it was like the scientist that started that because the
Oh,
scientist
Yeah,
is missing.
that's what Richard told me. That the scientist was the old man that said, "Do whatever you like," right?
And what we wanted to like, what he what he liked to do was go and destroy everyone.
Because the old man, his wife died from radiation, and so like, what if he created Godzilla?
And like gave him the DNA to like do all that.
Or what if like, since his wife died from radiation, what if her body was mixed in, like not DNA, but her actual
I'm
body?
pretty sure that body must have been
Yeah.
buried.
Yeah.
at that
Though when you brought that up, my brain was like, well, it's like Rodan. He's like going down with her. But
Well, they
No,
did.
there was actual symbolic. There was actually something symbolic about the two Rodans.
They did say that this Godzilla was made up of DNA of 8 different creatures. So like maybe one creature.
One of them was man.
that thing is part raptor. But Anything else you wanted to like? Just yeah, it might have been eating people or anything like that. Did you have any other thoughts on that or?
Well, you kind of explained that like I was gonna say that it was the scientist, but you already said that.
Yeah, sorry.
Because like Richard told me that when I was discussing it with him on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought maybe these were like Godzilla's spawn.
Well, they
Kind
did.
of like kind of like in Final Fantasy X, Sin. He had spawn.
And they were kind of like little monster man.
Yes.
Well, they did say that Godzilla can reproduce. In that movie, they did say, oh, like he'll mutate to the point where he can reproduce and maybe might grow wings. We don't know.
Yeah. Did you have any thoughts about like what the tail is or what you think it might?
Pretty much either what you guys said, or
Well-
or they were Godzilla's spawn, new babies. That actually reminds me of a funny comic I saw a little while ago. You remember Godzilla's Revenge?
Yeah.
It showed that kid talking to the son of Godzilla, like, "Wait, your dad is Godzilla? Oh yeah, I'll introduce you. Hey, Godzilla!" And there's Shin Godzilla, final form, bleeding from the gills, mouth open, separated, shooting the hyper beam, and then the tail's all splitting apart, and the kid is just standing there peeing his pants, and the Minya is like, "Yeah, there he is. And if you squint a little, you can kind of see my stepbrothers and sisters."
Nah. God, that's actually, but okay. So my theory is that Godzilla was always adapting. Godzilla's in the bay. He's probably he's like sitting there and he's like, oh, I gotta get on land. I gotta get on land to get that radiation. How am I gonna get that radiation? Grow some legs. He's on land. He's like struggling. He's like trying to do anything. He's like flopping around. It's all gross. This is the sounds he's making. Anyways, he's flopping around. He barely gets anywhere, and he's like, I gotta stand upright. I'm seeing all these things stand upright. I got 2 legs. They walk on 2 legs. He's like propping himself up. He gets on. He transforms. Yeah, he gets, and he starts evolving. He's evolving to like his condition and what's going on. He gets hit in the back. What does he do? Starts shooting lasers at the back.
Yeah. So like, they never explained that the missile that they dropped on his back was a nuke, was it?
No. It was
No.
just a really strong missile. It
was just a really strong bomb.
It's made of America. It's made of America explosives, made from the
Michael
heart of
Bay.
Texas. Yeah.
The heart of Texas.
Yeah, so Godzilla's adapting. And so my theory is that Godzilla, somewhere along the line, Godzilla realized that the thing that was taking him down was not a single entity, but it was a collective. It was a group effort, because it is. It's a group effort of everyone.
And they even said that he was made up of a bunch of different organisms too, wasn't it?
And so if you have like, how do you fight a collective but with a collective? So I'm thinking that
How do you fight an army?
just make another army.
Yeah.
I mean, he can only do so much. He only has so much energy. He can't spam the raid fire blast every so often. So my guessing was that he was making another evolution where he was going to create like maybe like a hive of like these little creatures that would go and take us on one-on-one.
Yeah.
Which would have been terrifying.
It would have been definitely horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So my guess is that like he was trying to adapt to go
So
and
does
take.
this make Godzilla Adam?
So basically, yeah.
Plot twist.
Yeah. So it is. I don't know.
Plus, I think there's like a symbolism to like the humanoid Godzillas. Like maybe like they're trying to say like Godzilla is not the monster, humanity is.
Well, yeah, but it's only trying to. That's what I'm trying to say. It's trying to adapt to take down the biggest monster of all.
Man.
Oh, Anno, you're so.
You're so on the nose.
Who didn't see this coming? Who would have guessed? The guy who made Evangelion would say mankind's actually the horrible monster man. It was man the whole time. But yeah, that's my theory, is that Godzilla was going to try to. I honestly think that also, like, I do think that the scientist definitely was in Godzilla and kind of powering his rage a little bit. Even though, like, Godzilla was just mostly trying to go find food, I do think that he kind of did smash.
That's a nice little fan theory.
Yeah. Like, I do think that. I don't think that, like, the scientist was in Godzilla's brain, being like, "Now go out, Godzilla!"
Like Plankton controlling SpongeBob.
Yes. Get out of here, you mediocre
Clarinet
player.
player.
And then like the guy with the glasses is like, "Hmm."
Mediocre.
But yeah, so that's my theory, that everything about this Godzilla is really unsettling, and that's what I really liked about it. So, anything else you guys want to talk about theory-wise or anything like that?
Well, I did talk to Richard and Brian about this. Like, I said that Godzilla did not attack first. We did. But Brian was saying, well, he was destroying the city when he first came on the land.
That's true. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, but
let him destroy everything?
But you see, like, he was a creature, like...
He was an animal.
Yeah, he was an animal, like, still evolving. Like, he couldn't walk upright, which would explain why he was stumbling. Mm-hmm. Think of it like an infant, like, learning how to walk. Of course, they're going to stumble and fall, maybe knock things over. It's not their fault.
We're not going to go... What are you saying? That we should go take Godzilla, put him in a pen, and then, like, have a chick talk to him all day long, and then, like, her boyfriend will show up with, like, a pterodactyl machine, and...
You're... Okay. You're getting into the movie we watched yesterday.
Well, I told Richard this, that, like,
and he's not kidding. That actually happened.
Like, since we attacked Godzilla first because we were afraid of him, I told Richard this. Imagine an elephant in the street. It's not going to know where it is. It's going to freak out. And we're going to freak out saying, like, oh, the elephant's out of control. But if we attack the elephant, then it's going to get out of control, because you do not mess with an animal that is
size.
Especially if it's in an environment that is unfamiliar to them, and especially if they're, like I said,
I would just like to note that elephants actually do go and mind our stuff a lot. There's a lot of footage of elephants stepping over our fences and not destroying our things. Elephants are good people. What I'm trying to say in this Godzilla podcast is that elephants are good people and Godzilla needs to be taken down a notch. And Mark and his Godzilla apologizing ways.
As much as I love Godzilla, I don't think I could apologize.
Kind of like how you mentioned how, like, if you mess with a tiger or a bear, it's too much, it's gonna get hostile.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Alright. So, okay, so how does this movie, like, compare to the other Godzilla movies you've seen? Like, how, like, being the Godzilla experts, you guys...
Well, this might be a cop-out, but I feel that each era is a treasure in and of itself. Like some...
Get out of here! That's a bullshit answer! Get out of here!
Like some sort of... You know what I mean. Like a time capsule.
Yeah. Okay, I've probably been dancing around this a little too much. Can you guys go and just, for the listeners who don't understand what he say, she say, blue blah era means, can you just kind of go and sum up each era, kind of like what their tone was, and like kind of like a little bit about them?
The Showa era was the first era of the Godzilla movies, and well, it started off dark, but then later on towards, I want to say Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. That's when it started to get all campy and goofy, because this was around the same time, like in America, when like everything had to get like more like child-friendly, like with comic books.
With Batman.
Yeah. And it was like around the time the Adam West TV show came.
And not to mention another studio was trying to rip off Godzilla's fame.
Yeah, but instead of this monster being a destructive force of nature, it wanted to be a friend to children. And that creature we know and love is Gamera.
It's that British Godzilla that we were talking about earlier, with his tea and crumpets, going and talking to James Bond and the Queen.
Actually, that British Godzilla you mentioned doesn't give a shit about the humans. It just wants its baby back.
It just wants his baby.
No, great. No, that was the plot of the film. That's true. Humans took its baby, put it up as like a carnival attraction, and then the mother came and destroyed all of London looking for its baby.
Okay, that's pretty sweet. Okay, so what's the next era that happened after this?
The Heisei era. This was after... I want to say 1975, after the 20-year anniversary of Godzilla and after the sequel, Terror of Mechagodzilla, Toho decided to reboot the franchise for its 30th anniversary.
Well, they rebooted everything except for the original film Gojira.
Yes. they used the original film as a starting point. In 1984, the movie Godzilla Returns, Godzilla has come back and he's like 30 meters taller, and in a modern age society. This is like the second film in the franchise that only features Godzilla. No other monsters, just Godzilla and mankind trying to deal with him.
Didn't they mention that this Godzilla in 1984 was the second of his kind and not the original?
Oh, yeah. I think that was it. And it's going through its own little shorter series than the Showa series.
Yeah. And tonally, how was it? Was it like more serious or?
Yeah, it was more serious and darker in tone.
It leaned more to a more serious and darker tone. But if you look back, if you compare the two, you can see the differences. But you could also still see the campiness involved.
Yeah, there is some campiness, but not as much as the Showa.
Not as much as the Showa. Definitely not as much as the Showa.
Okay, then after that, you had the
Millennium.
The Millennium series.
Which kept rebooting itself.
Here's the thing. The Millennium era started off after Godzilla had its run, after 1995 with Godzilla vs. Destroyer. That was supposed to be... Toho said that this was going to be Godzilla's final film.
Yeah, but then we made the Emmerich movie.
Yes, that happened. They gave TriStar the rights to make an American Godzilla movie, and they handed all control over to Roland Emmerich, who repeatedly kept saying no to Toho. I am going to make the movie the way I want. And if you watch that version of Godzilla, you could automatically compare it to the Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
Like, from scene to scene. And you know what? In hindsight, that's actually kind of... You know what? In hindsight, I bet that would be almost an homage.
Yeah, I guess.
Of sorts. Or maybe just a direct ripoff.
Yeah.
But if you watch the movie as it is, like if you don't watch it as a Godzilla movie, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you don't watch it as... If you watch
So if you watch it the Zilla movie.
Yeah. Well, I kind of felt like it was almost like a ripoff of Jurassic Park in a way.
Yeah. But okay, so Millennium series happened.
Ripoff of Jurassic Park with some scenes cut and pasted from Independence Day.
Yeah.
Well, it is Emmerich, so. So after so I know so the Millennium series, how did that go? Like that's more.
The Millennium series, Toho saw the 1998 film and was like, we got to do something to repair our
brand,
to bring honor back to our Godzilla.
And so how were those movies?
They were action packed.
They were well, Godzilla 2000 was kind of slow.
Yeah.
But the climax was actually pretty much action packed. I remember seeing it in theaters. And this is the one movie I would actually recommend watching in English, watching the American version, if only for the soundtrack. The soundtrack to the original Japanese version felt very out of place. But the guy they got to score for the American release actually took his own little, not only his own little spin, but inserted a bit of Akira Ifukube's works in
that's
it
pretty sweet.
as well.
So he that's actually really interesting that they made a dub that.
Even when Toho saw the American version, they said this one. They actually said this. We actually like this version better than ours. And I think it was because of the music.
Yeah.
So I know that Final Wars was the last one of that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that movie is
just over the top craziness.
Okay, those of you in the video game industry, those of you who love video games, just think of Platinum getting its rights on Godzilla, and you will have an idea of what to expect.
I'd play that.
I'd play the crap out of that. Pretty much is
if you had played Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance, or the Transformers Devastation game, you would kind of have an idea of what to expect in terms of action-packed.
Yeah,
violence.
You know what? That would be a really good Platinum game. Just have the human parts be all fast and stuff, and the Godzilla parts be all slow and stuff, but still action-packed because you're
have the Godzilla parts semi-slow.
Yeah, it would be slower
not
than
too
the
slow.
human. It would be slower than the human.
Slower
part.
to the human parts, but still relatively fast considering their size.
All right, but you still like okay. So how does it feel compared to like the other movies that you've seen? Like, I know that you'd say it. Okay, so
a part of this Godzilla's design reminds me of the what?
No, keep going. Nothing's going on in the background.
The
There's nothing happening here. Just talk about Godzilla.
Go on.
Mark, you want
this
to
version of Godzilla kind of reminds me of GMK
Okay.
in a sense
that?
Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah,
Giant Monsters All Out Attack.
Okay.
And we're not kidding. That's the actual title
Yep.
of the movie. Co-starring Baragon. Anyway. It reminded me. I don't know. It just felt very similar to the GMK version of Godzilla, in terms of absolute ruthlessness and.
Yeah, I put it up there with GMK, and I'd say that I put this movie up there with the original. Like, this movie reminded me of the original, but a lot darker.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Like, the original is still dark. I still get teary-eyed in the hospital scene.
Oh, yeah, that hospital scene. Like, it really, like, reflects...
Oh, man, I'm hearing the little girl in my head now.
Oh. I mean, like, that scene, it really looks like something out of the Hiroshima bombings. And speaking of, I think the director of Shin Godzilla was actually inspired not by the Hiroshima bombings, but by the earthquakes in Japan that happened a couple years ago.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of...
Because I had that feel, like, I'm like, wow, this kind of reminds me, like, as if this was, like, the earthquakes in Japan that happened.
Yeah, and especially since, like, a lot of...
Yeah.
That was not only that, but there was actually, like, a little subplot about how there was, like, do we nuke ourselves in order to get foreign aid? Because if we do, then a lot of people are going to send us a lot more money. But then it was like, or do we go with this weird freezing plan that might fail? It was really interesting. Also, we completely skipped over this fact about the movie that I really loved. Godzilla in this movie is both called Godzilla and
Gojira.
Because it's like the Americans are like, yeah, we're gonna call it Godzilla. We're just gonna come up with this name, and the Japanese mispronounce it, and then everyone in Japan's calling it Gojira, and we're calling it Godzilla, and it's have they ever done that in a movie before?
No. They have
Kinda
never addressed. They have never addressed both names.
They did in the Emmerich movie.
They did it in the Emmerich movie, but that was just for a joke.
Yeah.
And
they explained what Godzilla meant. It means godlike. Whereas Gojira is like an acronym of the two Japanese words Gorira, which is gorilla, and Kojira, whale. So it's gorilla whale. So
it's basically what your dream of. So wait, if like you take your gorilla-ness and we take my fatness, would we become Godzilla? Is that the moral of the podcast?
Can I be Jet Jaguar in this scenario?
Yes, you can be Jet Jaguar. You get the awesome song. So how does this? What? Okay, so it is in your top 5, obviously. Then.
Yes.
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, I haven't seen that many Godzilla movies.
I would put the original first, then 84, then this one. But
I'd say
even though this one felt very, very intense, you have this. Maybe it's the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the nostalgia factor that make me gravitate to the older ones.
I'd probably put this like in second place, whereas first place would be the original.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen too many kaiju movies, but this is definitely like I love Pacific Rim and stuff, and this definitely is up there with that. I would watch these side to side.
Dude, those Jaegers do not stand a chance against Godzilla.
I would watch that fight. I'd watch that fight.
Yeah, I heard rumors that like 2014 might do a crossover with Pacific Rim.
They always say that.
They always say that, but it's never gonna happen.
All right, so this was fun. This was a lot of fun. I'm really happy that you guys were here. You guys want to plug anything before we head out? Besides your podcast, Mark?
No, I got nothing to say.
All right. Join us the next show where I'm not going to be here, but Mike. You remember Hofstadter from the first show? He's going to be here, and he's going to be probably talking about Pokemon and how great that is. Mark, you gotta watch that show. Mark, why don't you like Pokemon?
Mark, it's a Babber show.
What?
It's Babber.
What? Babby? No, cut the feed. We don't need Babby talk.
I'm gonna be playing Overwatch.